Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Gaming Quitte, the most delicious Quitte of them all. Dragalia Lost has been out for 3 years now, and since its release, the game went through some considerably big changes. Enough changes to now be able to look back, remember those old days, and laugh about all those things that are now nothing but a fleeting memory. Today, I want to talk about 5 topics that are now things of the past. If you have your own memories to share after you're done with the video, please do so in the comments below and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. The first thing I want to talk about is something that a lot of newer players probably have never heard of. Back when the High Dragon trials were the only endgame content, things used to be a little more, well, rough. The High Dragon's opening blast used to be extremely strong, and you could pretty much only survive it by equipping the corresponding Wyrmprint. The thing is, way back, you could only equip a single Wyrmprint. This changed after roughly half a year when Cygames introduced dual Wyrmprints. At that time, you were now finally able to use the High Dragon trial print with something else, a skill print for example, to deal more damage. All of this obviously changed over time, with units getting stronger thanks to augments, new weapons, additional facilities, and Cygames also weakening the opening blast. But back then, you didn't know if your unit would survive until you tried it out, and that meant some time being wasted. In co-op, it even meant wasting everybody's time. So we eventually had a few calculators on the web where you could put in your build to check if you would survive. I had to use the most famous one of them several times because I, for example, wanted to build Lily for the High Brunhilde fight. But as a wand, she had less HP than a sword, for example. This meant her survivability was lower than others. I still remember the amazing day when I finally got my Lily over 7000 might. Nowadays that's a lovable number. The original website most people use sadly doesn't exist anymore, but JRoJ and Axe from Twitter had some screenshots so you guys can at least know what it looked like. You were able to input your character, the weapon you had, your dragon and 2 Wyrmprints. You also needed to set up what your altars looked like and stuff. And if you put everything in, the website told you how high the chance of your character surviving would be. In the best scenario it would be 100%. Brave people would go into co-op rooms with less than that though. Something that also went into the whole building your character to survive opening blasts thing was the fact that co-abilities used to work differently. Not only did the 3 and 4 stars used to have weaker co-abilities than 5 stars, but how they affected units in co-op was handled differently in the past too. Before things got changed around the 1.5 anniversary, co-op teams had to take co-abilities into consideration because your leaded unit wasn't powered up by your team's backline, as it is nowadays, but by the other members of the co-op team. This made teams very often consist of at least 1 blade and 1 wand, plus the obligatory healer. The reason for this is obvious. Blades give more strength and wands give more skill damage. The 4th spot was, from how I remember it, pretty flexible, but I think bows were wanted pretty often because skill haze meant using more skills, which in turn helped dealing more damage faster. Or if you wanted to go for survivability, a lance and an axe were needed to help survive opening blasts from high dragons, like I mentioned earlier. Only after the 1.5 anniversary the system changed, while also introducing chain co-abilities. With these 2 things mentioned, having the right co-ability and needing to be able to survive the opening blast of a High Dragon trial, people had to make sure they could at least get a chance of clearing a fight. Thankfully, even back in the day, we had a way to communicate with others thanks to the stickers feature. If someone joined the room with the wrong co-ability or obviously wasn't strong enough, and as filtering didn't exist back then, a sorry sticker could be used, or a OMG sticker. But most of the time, people used the, as I call it, toxicity triforce. It consisted of the nod sticker, which simply said grrr, the LSN sticker, which in a pretty annoying tone said really, and the most famous one, the nope sticker featuring Cleo. Especially the clear nope sticker was spammed rather often, and I guess Cygames thought this way of communicating is neither helpful and maybe even hurtful and discouraging. So in an update applied on April 26, 2019, Cygames decided to remove these 3 stickers and replace them with "on me," "again," and "you got this." 3 stickers that arguably are quite the opposite of toxic and rather helpful to this day. I tried to find the sound files for the removed stickers, but couldn't find clean versions of them anywhere, sadly. Also, I love how we also used to only have 6 team slots, as you can see on the screenshot, which on the same day as the sticker change was increased to 9, and nowadays even 54 team slots aren't enough anymore for me. The next change I want to talk about isn't even that old, but it's crazy it took so long to be implemented into the game. I am talking about the Wyrmsigil feature, or more often commonly referred to as the Spark system. In the first 2 years of Dragalia Lost, you were not guaranteed a unit even when you spent over 50,000 Wyrmite or hundreds of dollars. This led to rather painful posts on the internet, or even worse, painful summoning sessions on YouTube. A lot of us veterans probably remember the Dragalia Lost content legend Living Like Log, who spent I think around 40,000 or 42,000 Diamantium until he finally got Gala Cleo. And I don't think that was the only case of him spending a lot of money to get a unit, if I remember correctly. Nowadays, if you want, you know that you can get in guaranteed civilian leave by pumping $300 into the game, but back then, that wouldn't work. Saving didn't help much, because even if you did, you weren't guaranteed a unit. You literally had to get lucky, and the only way of getting a copy of a unit you wanted was by using a dream summon, if they were available. The guaranteed 5-star after summoning a bunch without pity being broken often didn't help in this endeavor either. But you know what's worse than spending hundreds of dollars for a unit and not getting it? Seeing that you are going to get a 5-star, but it is neither an adventurer nor a dragon, because it's a freaking Wyrmprint. Yeah, you heard right. In the first half year of Dragalia Lost, you couldn't buy Wyrmprints with your Altwater from the shop and then use more Altwater to unbind them. You had to either summon them or use golden keys to unbind them. And keys were a rarity back then. So what was awful about this were the rates regarding how high the chances were of getting a 5-star. When you hit that sweet 5-star while summoning, the chances of getting a Wyrmprint were way higher than getting a unit or a dragon. Oh, did I mention that Dragalia's initial rate for a 5-star was 2% instead of 4% that we are used to now? The chances of getting an adventurer at base rate were 0.5%. A dragon was 0.5%, but it was a 1% chance of getting a Wyrmprint. So it happened more than often that the pity you built with your hard-earned Wyrmite or your money was broken by a Wyrmprint. More often than not, it was one that you either already had fully unbound or one you just didn't need. I found this Reddit post that you see on the screen now, which just absolutely shows the state of the game at the time, and at the same time how awful the ratio between getting a unit and a Wyrmprint were. I personally remember a particular summoning session on the Circus of Dreams summoning banner featuring Annalie and Liger, 2 5-star units I desperately wanted. I blew everything I had on that banner and just continuously got Stellar Show and Dragon and Tamer. Since at that time I was kinda frustrated with endgame anyway, I decided to bet everything on that next tenfold, and if I didn't get either of them, I would simply uninstall this godforsaken game. Well, thankfully I finally got Liger and was able to call it a day. Since then, he has a special place in my heart. But just imagine if it would have been another Wyrmprint, then I might actually have uninstalled the game, maybe to never even look back at it. And I know I wasn't the only one hating having the Wyrmprints in the summoning pool back then. Honestly, to this day, gacha games that put junk into the summoning pool to artificially blow up the things you can get in a summoning session and also destroying your chances of getting a new unit irritate me tons. I'm extremely thankful Cygames quickly realized this is a hurtful practice in their game and then swiftly removed it after half a year. I could go on and talk about way more things that will make veterans feel nostalgic, but then I'm afraid this video would get too long. Some honorable mentions that I at least wanna give you guys are Phoenix Mikoto, which plagued public Midgar Stormer rooms for quite a while. Some people just didn't have anything else, I guess. Also, do you guys remember the days when Imperial Onslaught was actually kinda difficult to play and to auto-play, so they removed most obstacles? Another thing which comes to mind is how brutally broken Dragalia was for a long time after release. Broken so bad that Cygames had to rush out mana spirals so that other units finally had a chance of being used in endgame content. Speaking of endgame content, Pipple meta in Hybrid Hilda. It was the best meta in Dragalia Lost. Period. I won't fight over this, like, that's a fact. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that the entire graphic style has changed and that they completely reworked most of the characters in the 2.0 update. That was pretty big and nice. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this small trip down memory lane. I certainly did. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. As I already said, please tell me your favorite Dragalia Lost memories in the comments below and join our Discord if you want to find like-minded people to talk about the game. The link is in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.